Hi, welcome to See You Live. My name is Walker Evans. I'm the co-founder of Columbus Underground. Joining me today is Mandy Bishop, who is the Deputy Director of Public Service with the City of Columbus, as well as the Smart Columbus Program Manager. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, Walker.
Thanks for being.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Did I get your whole title right?
You got all of it.
Okay, it's a mouthful. Just to kind of bring people up to speed, if you've been living under a rock for the past 5 years, the Smart Columbus program was a program that came about through Columbus winning a grant back in 2016 under the Obama administration. They had the Smart Cities program. Columbus won a $50 million grant that was meant to serve as a catalyst for transportation innovation projects around the city. Some people, may have seen some of these as we've been covering them on Columbus Underground over the past 5 years. Can you maybe give us kind of the brief overview, kind of the 40,000 foot view of maybe some of those projects that people might have heard of?
Yeah, there's a number of projects in our USDOT Smart City Challenge portfolio, and that includes connected vehicle, some that are less visible, like our Pivot application, but are still out there. One of the most visible that we've had is our Linden Leap shuttle that's deployed in the Linden neighborhood, connects St. Stephen's to Rosewind right now. We also had another first deployment with the May Mobility shuttle that was deployed in the downtown area.
Kind of did that loop around like COSI and
Absolutely.
Vets and yeah.
Connected to our Smart Columbus Experience Center, if you've never been there. That was actually one of the pieces that was funded by the Vulcan portion of the grant.
Right.
With some of the operational and build costs for that Experience Center.
That was a $10 million kind of on top of, from that private company, on top of the $40 million from the federal government?
Yes, and it was really focused on accelerating electrification in mid-sized city.
Nice. The catalyst of this goes all the way back to like 2015. We were awarded in 2016. It feels weird to be talking about, this was an Obama administration program. That's like how long ago this was. Fast forward to today, it's 2021. Did the pandemic, did COVID kind of slow down any of these projects, or were you guys kind of full steam ahead with what you were kind of already doing?
So it definitely changed the scope of the projects. It's a mobility program, and it's really focused on collecting data from people moving. And so when the pandemic hit, people weren't moving in the same way.
Stop going anywhere, stay at home, yeah.
Yes, really staying at home. And so, number one, most everyone from my team are Department of Public Service employees, so we all had to step back and see if there were any other focuses that we needed to provide. So we wanted to make sure that we were still providing essential city services. Number two, we really had to look at the program and go, could we deliver this in a meaningful way? And after we caught our breath for a second, we said yes. And so we were able to really assess the entire grant portfolio, look at the projects that were impacted. And in some cases, we delayed launch and shortened the demonstration period. But ultimately, we were able to deploy all but one of our projects.
Gotcha. Nice. A lot of times technology and innovation comes more from the private sector than the public sector. But something like transportation is kind of a mix of both. For example, we have privately owned vehicles on public owned roads. Have there been any challenges through the implementation of this with the city, the public sector taking such a lead on the transportation sort of thing, or have companies been able to kind of like meet in the middle and kind of work through these sorts of things?
Well, I would say it was definitely a learning experience. The city talks a lot, and so does the private sector, about the Columbus Way. When you're in a new space, you're really, there's some 4 phases to coming together when you're delivering in a fast-paced, kind of agile project delivery style. And that's like forming, storming, norming, performing. And so those are all natural courses of actions and things. And we really had to garner private sector interest. And what we found in the Pivot app and in our smart mobility hubs, we had a lot of partners at the table, and they were all willing to play. But when it came down to agreements, attorneys are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of terms to really work out. I think we all found our way. I think we learned that programmatic agreements, and once we can find something that works, are really a great way to go. But it was really awesome to work with our other public sector partners as well as our other private sector partners like the Columbus Partnership.
Nice. Yeah, I think if memory serves, and again, this was like 5 years ago reading this stuff, there were a lot of those private partners that were a part of the application, and I think that's one of the reasons we were awarded the grant, because of that sort of collaborative, regional, public-private approach.
Yeah, Anthony Fox was here, a couple years ago, speaking at Morpsey, their annual luncheon.
We did an interview with him. I can link to it. Yes, a podcast.
Yeah, and one of the reasons he said that we won was that A, we were vulnerable. So we were attempting to actually solve our region's challenges with the grant. And B, we had a lot of help. That was definitely one of those primary winning pieces of the formula.
You know, while the technology of something like self-driving cars and self-driving shuttles is really exciting, I've read some interesting think pieces about how, you know, those types of solutions might actually contribute to things like congestion, longer commute times, because, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, single occupant vehicles, people driving alone. Now we're going to have zero occupant vehicles where a shuttle might be headed to pick someone up or away from someone that it just dropped off. So you now have those vehicles on the road. Plus, you know, if you're taking a self-driving car, commuting to work, for example, whenever we get back to doing that, it could enable you to live even further out because you could do other things while you're, even sleep while you're driving, while you're commuting to your work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What kind of considerations has the city and maybe like the region as a whole taken into consideration for those kind of long-term plans? Because we obviously don't want to just contribute to sprawl and to congestion with these solutions.
I would say that the conversation is still a little bit new. I wouldn't say that we have taken a lot of steps towards trying to control that narrative. I think I will say as a region, we've really had a lot of strides towards shared mobility and using CODA. We started the CPAS program with the downtown SID. Pivot is really trying to drive more people to use public transit, although right now the message is really in alignment with essential travel only. And so as a region, we're taking a lot of steps to get more people into shared transportation. From a policy aspect, when you start to think about autonomy, it's going to solve a lot of challenges for people that can't drive,
right.
Choose not to drive. But for all the reasons you just said, we don't know what that's going to look like. Is it going to look like more people developing outward? I think one of the biggest steps the region is taking right now is redoing the zoning code, the planning and zoning code, to get more development to be closer to the downtown area in the central city. If you look at the other projects that the region is undertaking in partner, the city, CODA, and MORPC are undertaking Link Us. So there's all these projects that are going to lead to more policies that will align with more people living closer to the central city, and hopefully those AV technologies that come online are more in line with shared mobility.
Cool, nice. You know, you've mentioned the Pivot app a couple times. I downloaded and started to play with it a little bit. I've got probably 5 or 6 transportation apps on my phone because that's who I am. What's different about this one? What makes it unique?
It's really formulated for Central Ohio. So we're using data from a number of providers, including INRIX, that's really local, regional data that helps make decisions about your transportation trip option in the application. And that's a little different than other applications like transit.
Nice. Yeah, I plugged in home and work just to see, you know, what all it would pull up, and it gave me 4 or 5 different options,
Yes.
a couple different bus lines, KOGO, scooters, rideshare. So pretty cool. We'll link to where you can download that for, it's both iPhone and Android.
Yep,
Nice.
We've got about 2,000 users, about the equal number in both apps. So
Nice.
we'd love to have a few more.
Cool. You know, 5 years into this project, you know, are there more projects that are still rolling out? Is this kind of ending its life cycle? Do you see Smart Columbus kind of transforming into a new role, or kind of continuing beyond 2021?
So those are a lot of questions in there.
Yeah.
And so
You've got 30 seconds. Go.
Okay.
No.
No, we are definitely fully deployed on the grant program. We wrap up the grant at the end of May.
Okay.
So that's our final period of performance with, you know, some cleanup and invoicing work for the next 90 days beyond that.
Gotcha.
So that will be great. We're in April and May, we're ferreting out our lessons learned and recommendations, and really planning to distribute our final report that can be used by others to kind of, you know, guide their smart city
Nice.
adventure journey. As far as Smart Columbus, there's a lot of momentum that's been created by the partnership between the city and the partnership. And Smart Columbus is going to continue in some way, shape, or form and reinvent itself. And that's kind of a stay tuned.
Cool.
Hopefully more this summer or this fall.
Nice. Well, we look forward to those updates, and I'm sure we'll be writing about them on Columbus Underground whenever the time comes. So cool. Well, thanks for all the updates on this, Mandy. Really appreciate you stopping by and sharing this information.
Oh, I appreciate the invite, and it's really so humbling just to have the region and people like yourself really interested in the program.
Oh, thanks.